Good morning, students. Today we will highlight chapter number 4, page number 3030, Literary Heritage of India. Well, in literary heritage, we will deal with literature. It was not an easy task for men to develop language. Primitive man was trying to express either by gestures or by symbols or by drawings or even sounds to communicate his thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Slowly and gradually, after getting the knowledge of the birds chirping, men also tried to develop dialects and scripts. This script only contributed to the development of the language, and language was used to express thoughts. The constructive use of language later on led to the creation of literature. From ancient time, our Indian literature is well known for its diversity, divergence, as well as uniqueness. Indian scholars have divided ancient literature into two forms: Vedic literature and classical literature. Besides this, some even folk literature was also popular. Let us try to get idea about language and literature. Going back to the history, we can see that there was a need of variety of languages since centuries. In different areas, different languages were being used. These languages were influenced by one another as it came into contact, and so it resulted in the development of literature. Some languages and literature have developed as well as flourished. Among them, the best example is of our Sanskrit language. Sanskrit language is less in use in the present time, but religious ceremonies and worshipping rituals are dealt in Sanskrit language. Students, you will be surprised to know that in Surat also, two Muslim students have started a Sanskrit newspaper published from Surat, which is circulated all over India. It is the newspaper published in Sanskrit language. Any language will provide opportunity for the human beings for their better expression and understanding. Our country, India's most ancient script is the Harappan script, Mohenjo-daro script, which has not been deciphered yet. We are not able to know what is being mentioned in that literature, and so we are not able to receive much information about their language. Maharshi Panini, please underline, was a great Sanskrit grammarian. I think in your Gujarati subject you might have come across the language of the lesson of Panini, his book, which was being well respected by the king, and it was taken in the elephant back all over the town with trumpets, and the author was much honored. Maharshi Panini wrote a book known as Ashtadhyayi. Ashta means 8 and Adhyay means chapters. The book has 8 chapters and it is a noteworthy book of the Sanskrit grammar of the 4th century. We can consider Sanskrit as the language of Aryans or language of sages or even language of scholars. It has been accepted by all the international level that Sanskrit is the best language even for computer use. Also, Sanskrit was the chief language underlined for knowledge, to obtain knowledge, to have the study of science, to understand religion as well as philosophy. So, I hope that now you will be clear that we are going to discuss the development of the languages in our country India and which literary books have been written in different languages. Let us start with ancient Indian literature. Well, we cannot forget Ved. The word Ved only means knowledge, and to preach among the people this knowledge, we have a collection of 4 Ved. Please underline which are the 4 Ved: the Rug Ved, the Sam Ved, the Yajur Ved, and the Atharva Ved. Rug Ved. Rug Ved is the most ancient work or book of Indian literature. Please underline. It can be asked as fill in the blank or 1 mark answer. This Rug Ved is consisting nearly 1028 verses, and it is a very wonderful work divided into nearly 10 divisions. In Rug Ved, most of the verses are prayers of God, and the people used these Rug Ved prayers during the yagnas. There is a speciality. The shlok written for worshipping Usha, that is the goddess of dawn, is fascinating. It goes this way that the darkness is being removed by the first rays of the sun all over the world. The people are awakened that the sleep is over and now switch on to work as it is morning time, it is daytime. So it's a very nice slok which is mentioned in Rigved. Rigved also describes political, social, and religious matters of Aryans who were residing in the region of the Sapta Sindhu area. Samved. 3 other Veds were also composed after Rigved. Samved was composed to focus on the process of reciting the verses. So it is also known as Gangotri of music. Please underline. Samved is known as Gangotri of music. Third Ved, Yajurved. Yajurved is the Ved of Yagna. It is composed in both the forms, that is prose also and verse also. Yajurveda describes the hymns, the bhajans recited at the time of yagna, the religious practices as well as rituals. And last but not the least, fourth Ved, Atharva Ved. Atharva Ved is describing various types of rituals and sanskars. Upanishad. The Upanishadic literature is giving us a vivid description and analysis about how the universe came into existence, about the mysteries of life and death, about materialistic world and the spiritual world, and we have Brihadaranya Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad, which are the earliest of the Upanishad literature in the dialogue form. There are nearly 108 Upanishads as mentioned in Muktiko Upanishad. Brahmanical literature. Many Brahmanical epics were composed to understand the meaning of Vedic literature. Any critical appreciation based on Ved composed in the poetic form are also included in the Brahmanical literature. The Vedic literature as well as the directive principles with regards to the behavior of a person have been explained broadly in this Brahmanical literature. Aranyaks. Aryans used to spend their last phase of life in forest. Aranya means forest. They used to make their ashrams in the forest and dedicated their life towards God, and there only they composed the literature which was based on philosophy, and it was the result of their deep meditation or thinking. That's why they are known as Aranyaks. Vedang. The Vedang literature is dealing with the religious practices and rituals as well as grammar, astrology, and astronomy. In the Hindu religion, each and every human being is very much close to the two great epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Ramayana is the story of Ramchandra, who was the king of Ayodhya. Well, I hope that you know all these things, but we will have a 2 marks question, so just focus on whatever I speak, try to underline those lines. Now there is a differentiation between Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana is a smaller epic and Mahabharata is a big epic. Epic means already a long poem. So Ramayana is a short poem and Mahabharata is a long poem. In Ramayana we have the story of Ramchandra, the king of Ayodhya, and in Mahabharata we have the story of the Kauravas and Pandavas. Also, it deals with the war between the Kauravas and Pandavas, and while fighting war, and Arjun was serious, and he was in pain. He was fighting with his own brothers, his own relatives, and so he sought refuge to Sri Krishna. Okay, what should I do? So the philosophical principles which were conveyed by Arjun, that you do your karma, is very nicely portrayed in Bhagavad Gita. Ramayana narrates attractive stories of adventure, and Mahabharata is the world's largest epic which has nearly 1 lakh verses. The Bhagavad Gita, which is a part of Mahabharata, is expounding, giving us the deep philosophical principles, and also conveys the message of achieving moksha, that is salvation, through gyan, knowledge. Karma means our deeds, and bhakti means prayer. Both these epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, have influenced millions of Indians and also the literature for a long time. We know that even Hindi serials have taken place. Two epics are very nicely explained to the people, not only in the narrative form but with the video form by the actors, and people are becoming very familiar towards these both the epics. These epics have implanted motivational seeds of sanskars in the Indians. During the period of Sanskrit literature which was produced, it contained a good combination of religious as well as worldly aspects of life. The Puranas, please underline, played an important role to explain the initial Vedic religion of the earlier time. What should people follow? During this period only, many scriptures as well as Smruti Granths also were composed. And these scriptures were dealing with science and philosophy. We have a big example of a person called Chanakya or Kautilya, who wrote a book known as Arthashastra, which is a book of management. So also many books on various topics, including art, mathematics and other sciences, also were composed. The Smruti Granth is explaining the religious teachings, the laws and customs. Now we come to the Buddhist literature. It is also a 2 marks question, please try to underline. This Buddhist literature was written in Pali language, and it was divided into 3 sections. These 3 sections were known as Tripitik, underline. And these 3 Pitiks were Sukta Pitik, Vinay Pitik and Abhidham Pitik. Also many other works were composed in the Buddhist literature. And for the development of the Buddhist literature, Gupta period is known as the golden period. Also in Gupta period, the Sanskrit literature developed, including poems and dramas. You will get a 2 marks question by that. Explain the statement Gupta period was or is known as the golden period for the development of the Sanskrit literature. This paragraph will be our answer. Please underline. The great writers like Kalidas, Bhava Bhuti, Bharavi, Bhrutuhari, Bana Bhatt, Magh, and many other writers belonged to this period. Among all these writers, Kalidas is known all over the world. His works like Kumar Sambhav, Raghuvansham, Meghdut, Abhigyan Shakuntalam, and Rutu Samhar are renowned for their best poetic as well as dramatic style. Also, writers like Ban wrote Kadambari and Harsh Charit, a biography of King Harsh. Other works of the same period are Bhavabhuti's Uttar Charit, Bharavi's Kirtarjuniyam, Vishakha Dutt's Mudra Rakshas, Shudrak's Mrichakatikam, and Dandi's Das Kumar Charit. The subjects of these works were either political events, or romance, or allegories, or comedies, as well as philosophy. So, this is the answer for the question that Gupta period is known as the golden period of the development of the Sanskrit literature. Now again we will have that write a short note or give details about the Gujarati literature. So this paragraph is the answer for that question. Verses were also composed in the earlier forms also in Gujarati language. As time passed, Gujarati language developed and many literary works also were composed in Gujarati language. The heritage of Gujarati literature is made prosperous by literary contribution of the great writers like Narsi Mehta, Mirabai, Dayaram, Akho, Premchand, Pritam, and others who composed beautiful verses, songs, garba, narrative poems, and chappas, etc. After that, scholars like Narmad, Navalram, Kishorlal Mashruwala, Pannalal Patel, Umashankar Joshi, Mahipatram Rupram Nilkant, Govardhan Ram Tripathi, and many others, many more, enriched the Gujarati literature through their works. We are well versed by the bhajan of Narsi Mehta. वैष्णव जन तो तेने रे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे. Or Mirabai, who wrote so many pad like मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल दूसरो न कोई, और पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, और even पग घुंघरू बांध मीरा नाची रे. All these are literary works written by Mirabai. How can we forget Akho? Akho is well known for Chappa. Chappa means in Gujarati a poem containing 6 lines. આંધળો સસરો ને સરંગટ વહુ, કથા સાંભળવા ચાલ્યા સહુ. કહ્યું કાંઈક ને સાંભળ્યું કાંઈક, આંખનું કાજળ ગાલે ઘસ્યું. By these lines, Akho is making us aware about the illiteracy of the people towards religion. The father-in-law is a blind person. Still, the son's wife is covering the head that the father-in-law may not see the face. How can he see the face when he is already a blind person? So, Andhro Sasro and a Sarangat, like Gumta Wadi Vahu, all went to attend the religious gathering, Katha. In Katha, કહ્યું કાંઈક ને સાંભળ્યું કાંઈક, the books preach the difficult language explaining which the common people could understand. So કહ્યું કાંઈક ને સાંભળ્યું કાંઈક, આંખનું કાજળ ગાલે ઘસ્યું. The people, due to illiteracy, do not understand the literary work and they are misguided. So please underline this paragraph because it will be a 2 marks question for the development of the Gujarati literature. Page number 32. We have also the 4 Dravidian languages. We know that Dravidians were the peace-loving people who were the original inhabitants of India. Later on, the Aryans came and these both came into conflict. The Aryans were warrior-like and the Dravidians were peace-loving people. They could not withstand, and so they had to retreat and they become confined in the very small region, the peninsular region of India, southern India. We have the 4 Dravidian languages, that is Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam, which developed their own script as well as literature. Among them, Tamil is the oldest, and the literature of Tamil language belongs to the early centuries of the Christian era. According to a tradition, there were 3 literary gatherings or sangams taking place throughout the year, and the sages and the poets attended these literary gatherings or sangams and recited their compositions. The literary works of the authors, the poets, contained themes like politics, war, as well as love, romance. The famous works of this body of literature, that is literary gathering and sangam, includes Ethu Tokoi, which is a composition of 8 poems, the Tolkappiyam, the grammar, and Pathu Pattu, that is the 10 songs. Thiruvalluvar wrote the famous Kural, which is a verse dealing with many aspects of life as well as religion. The Shilpadikaram and the Mani Mekhla are some of the most famous works of early Tamil literature. After going through the ancient literature, now we come to the medieval literature. We can divide the history into 2 parts: ancient period, modern period of today, and in between the medieval literature or medieval period. So even we have literature developed in the medieval age. During the beginning of medieval age in North India, the language of literature was Sanskrit, and so great works were composed during this period, and they all were in Sanskrit language. In this period, 2 great works were written in Kashmir area. Underline, first was Somdev's Katha Sarit Sagar, and the second was Kalhan's Raj Tarangini. We have to clarify here that these are the first historical books of India. Please underline. Another famous work of the medieval period is Geet Govind, written by Jayadev. It is one of the finest poems in Sanskrit literature depicting Krishna Lila. As we have said before, this was the period when Upper Brahms languages had started developing into modern Indian languages. One of the earliest works in an early form of Hindi, please underline, was Prithviraj Raso by Chand Bardai, and it deals with the heroic deed of Prithviraj Chauhan. It marks the beginning of the Hindi literature. In this time, Sanskrit literature was making great progress in South India. For some period, Jainism influenced the Kannada literature, and we have poet Pampa who composed Adi Puran and Vikram Arjun Vijayant. The second poet, Ponna, he wrote Shanti Puran, which describes the life of 16th Jain Tirthankar. And the third poet, poet Ranna, composed two books, namely Ajitnath Puran and Gada Yuddh. So these three poets, Pampa, Ponna and Ranna, are known as the trio of the early Kannada literature. Please underline. Poet Kamban composed Ramayana in Tamil language. Please underline. Apart from this, many other famous literary works were written in the Tamil language. The development of the Indian languages and composition got a promotion from Delhi Sultanate. Two forms of Delhi language, it is the Khadi Boli and Brij Bhasha, began to be used to write literature. Many devotional songs were composed in these languages by Kabir, Raidas, Surdas. Many heroic poems and stories were composed in Rajasthani languages, which is very similar to Hindi and Gujarati. The heroic works like Alha, Udal, and Vishardev Ras were popular at that time. Please underline a book called Chandrayan, written by Mullah Dawood, is the oldest book in Awadhi language. Though the books were written in many languages, but the critical appreciation was still written in the Sanskrit language. So Sanskrit language enjoyed an important part in all the periods, we can say. Persian language, the Farsi language, was the language of court of the Delhi Sultanate. Many Persian words are seen in the Indian languages. We are making use of it. Many historians emerged out during this period. We are able to get proper description of the Indian history by the Turkish writer in the Persian language, because Ziauddin Baroni wrote Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi, which gives a detailed account of the region of the Khalji and the Tughlaq kings. He also wrote a book on the political theory known as Fatwa-e-Jahangiri. Among these, the most outstanding literary figure of this period was Amir Khusro. He was a poet, historian, mystic saint, and composer of music. He was also a disciple of Nizamuddin Aulia. Students, you might have seen Salman Khan's film Bajrangi Bhaijaan. We know the story that a small girl from Pakistan anyhow reaches to India and sought refuge with Salman Khan, known as Bajrangi. Now, Salman Khan is not able to find out that a girl is a Hindu or a Muslim girl. But when he is out with the girl and the girl finds a holy place known as Dargah, and she enters there and starts praying. At that time, Salman Khan becomes 100% sure that this girl is a Muslim girl. That Dargah is the Dargah of Nizamuddin Aulia, Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia in Delhi. Now, Amir Khusro was the disciple, Shishya of Nizamuddin Aulia, and he used to compose poems for Nizamuddin Aulia, praising him. And so Nizamuddin told very clearly that when you will die and I will die, people will come to meet both of us, but before coming to me, they will have to meet you first. So today also, if you go to Delhi, Hazrat Nizamuddin area, you will find that the tomb of Amir Khusro comes first, and then comes the tomb of Nizamuddin Aulia. Amir Khusro wrote Ashika, Nu, Sifir, Kiratul Sadayan, Khazainul Fatah, and several other works of poetry. We know that he is also known as Tuti-e-Hind. In the earlier chapter, we saw very clearly. He took great pride of his being an Indian, and he praised India as the earthly paradise. Amir Khusro praised India's flora and fauna, vegetation, and wildlife, its beauty, its buildings, its knowledge, its learning. Amir Khusro very strongly believed that in many respects the essence of Hinduism is very close, it resembles to Islam religion. And he considered Hindavli, the Hindi spoken around the region of Delhi, his mother tongue. And in that language only he composed many verses. He also composed verses in other languages. He wrote a number of the bilingual quatrains, chopai, and verses in Hindi as well as Persian language. This healthy tradition started by him continued for centuries also after him. The regional kings of different areas gave a great impetus or speed to the local languages, to the regional languages and literature. The Bhakti saints were preaching in the language of the people. They wanted the people to follow the true religion, and that can only be done when you talk in their own language, local language. So these Bhakti saints tried to preach the people in the people's language. And among them we have Kabir, who wrote in Bhojpuri and Awadhi. These were the dialects used during those days. But the works of the Kabir are chiefly composed in Sadhu Khadi Boli. Among them, Kabir's Doha have become a part of folklore. I think in standard 8th and 9th or earlier parts you might have come across Kabir's Dohas. We are well known to it. Malik Muhammad Jaisi, underline, wrote Padmavat in Awadhi language. And there were many other poets of Awadhi language in that period. Also, the well-known Ramcharitmanas written by Tulsidas, it was written in the Awadhi language. And many other books also were written in the Awadhi language. Besides Hindi language, literature also developed in other languages. Let us come to Bengali language. In Bengali language, the Ramayana written by Kritavas and the 100 of lyrics by the famous poet Chandidas, please underline, were written under the patronage of the rulers, of the local rulers of Bengal area. Also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with Saint Chaitanya, the tradition of writing devotional songs began. The Bhakti movement, Narsi Mehta underlined, wrote devotional songs in Gujarati language, and Namdev and Saint Eknath in Marathi language. Also, there was one famous saint known as Tukaram. To treat the people in the common language, they went from house to house and area to area by singing the devotional songs like ज्योत से ज्योत जगाते चलो प्रेम की गंगा बहाते चलो. Also, there were important developments in Kashmir and in Kashmir language, Kashmir literature under Zainul Abidin. Many Sanskrit works like Mahabharat and Raj Tarangini were translated into Persian language under the patronage of Zainul Abidin. In the period of the reign of kings of Vijayanagar, Sanskrit literature, Krishna Dev Rai, literature of Sanskrit continued to develop. But it was also an important period for the development of Telugu literature. Underline Raja Krishna Dev Rai, the great king of Vijayanagar. He was a Telugu and as well as Sanskrit writer. He also wrote a book known as Amukta Malayad. As in art and architecture, the Mughal period also saw a great development in literature. Underline Babur, the first Mughal ruler, was one of the pioneers of the Turkish poetry and also the author of a very valuable autobiography, Tuzuke Babur, in Turkish language. Later on, it was translated into the Persian language and titled as Baburnama. Also underline Gulbuddin Begum, the sister of Emperor Humayun, wrote Humayunama. Also Jahangir wrote his great autobiography known as Tuzuke Jahangiri. Even Aurangzeb was a prolific writer. And how can you forget the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was also a notable Urdu poet. When he was deported to Rangoon, he wrote a very nice song, न किसी की आँख का नूर हूँ, न किसी के दिल का करार हूँ. He also was a notable Urdu poet, the last emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. Hindi literature made significant progress during the period of King Akbar. Underline Tulsidas and Surdas wrote in this period. Also, we have great poet Keshav Das, who wrote literature or literary works on love as well as separation. Rahim's dohas are still popular all over India. Many noteworthy books were written during this period. Please underline. Abul Fazl wrote Ain Akbari and Akbarnama. The book Ain Akbari is giving a detailed information of Indian customs, manners, religion, philosophy, economic condition, and almost every aspect of life is discussed in the book Ain Akbari. As a historical work, it is perhaps unparalleled. No other book on history can be compared with this book. Abul Fazl's brother Faizi, underline, was also a great Persian poet, and he translated many Sanskrit works into Persian language. Very close to Agra, the fort of Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar had established an independent department for translation of the Sanskrit works like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, the Atharvaved, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Panchtantra. In Fatehpur Sikri only, he used to meet with all the 9 gems, Navratna, and discuss the matters. One of the most significant development during the medieval period was the birth of Urdu language. This new language soon developed into one of the richest modern Indian languages. Please underline. And great poets like Wali, Mir Dard, Mir Taki Mir, Nazir Akbar Abadi, Abdullah Khan Ghalib, Iqbal, and others. Urdu prose also developed in the early 18th century when the translation of most of the historical works from Sanskrit into Urdu began. At the same time, original prose work in Urdu was written. Please underline Muhammad Hussain Azad's Darbar Akbari is one of the best works of the Urdu language.